Okay.
Welcome back, everyone. It's been a minute.
Fast 6. Fast and Furious 6?
Yeah,
the Fast and the Furious 6.
It's Fast and Furious 6 is the official title.
I couldn't remember
I can't remember either.
But boy, oh boy, I remember this fucking movie.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah. I mean, we watched it like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
So we're recording this well after the fact, and I really enjoyed it. I really liked it. So
Okay.
I'm super excited to talk about it. So let's just get started.
Okay, let's do it.
My fingers on the keyboard had little minds of their own. I was rolling along, writing my usual scathing but civilized comments, and suddenly a sinister inner force took over, and I found myself typing, and I quote, "I hated this movie. Hated this movie. Hated every simply stupid, vacant, audience-absorbing moment of it." Unquote, and so on. Altogether, I used the word hated 10 times.
Hell yeah. We are family.
We are family. Everybody, welcome to Non-Essential Fountains Podcast, Episode 6, Fast and Furious 6. This is Emily Ehlers.
This is Linda Nailers.
Hooray.
And I don't sound as excited as I am, but I've been waiting to talk about this friggin' movie for 2 days.
Right, because you compiled a list of questions and everything.
That sounds like I did
topics.
more. That sounds like I did more than I really did.
You did your homework, though.
But, well, I didn't really do any homework either. I just, we watched it, and a lot of times, most of the times we've been doing this, we watch the movie and then we immediately set everything up and we record the show.
Right.
And, sometimes we would have it behind us playing, next to us, which turns out to be really distracting.
Yeah,
And
so we're not doing that today.
I hated doing it like that. So we watched this the other night, and it was like 10 o'clock, which is certainly late for us.
Yeah.
By the time it was over, we're like, ugh. And I was like, let's record tomorrow and give it a day and sit on it. And then we ended up doing it the day after, or the day after that.
Yeah.
And yeah, probably a good idea. I've been able to think about this movie a lot, which is funny because I don't think it doesn't feel like the one I need to think about.
Right.
Much.
I took way fewer notes, so that's another big thing.
Dude, I took a page and a half of a tiny notebook, by the way. I have like a child's notebook.
Yeah, this is my work notebook.
Yeah, you have an adult's notebook. I have like this little note taker notebook.
It's like all my training stuff, and then like, oh, these are my Fast 5 notes, wrong page.
Well, so right when it started, right? So we'll just start. Or no, sorry. I always do this. I always jump ahead.
Fun facts
You
time.
have fun facts.
Fun facts time. So Fast and the Furious 6 was released in theaters in the United States on May 24th, 2013. It had an alternate title in Japan, which was Wild Speed Euro Mission, which is, I think, way more badass.
It's definitely the most Japanese title I've ever heard.
I've been waiting to tell you that one. It sounds
yeah,
cool.
yeah. What was it again?
Wild Speed Euro Mission.
I mean, it's legit. It's what the movie is.
Yeah.
So it works.
Yeah. Yep. So Justin Lin directed it once again. The Wikipedia page said it had a budget between 160 and 260 million. I don't know why there's such a big range like that, and I couldn't find an exact number anywhere. So anyone who's like a super expert and you feel compelled to tell me what the budget was for this, please do tell.
I wonder why they have it listed like that. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know what.
So do you want to guess how much it grossed at the box office? I'll hide my notes. Can't see it.
What did it cost? 200? Anywhere from 200 to 400 million?
160 to 260 million. I'm
going to say it did 500 million.
Higher.
Really? Okay, 800 million.
Eensy bit lower.
There we go, 750 million.
It's 788.7 million grossed at the box office.
And it deserved every single fucking penny.
Which also made it the 6th highest grossing film of 2013. So going into the production of it, this film was planned in 2010, actually before Fast 5 was, prior to the production of Fast 5. A lot of it was written before Fast 5, and a lot of the stunts that director Justin Lin wanted to include in Fast 5, he ended up including in this film, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
This is the last film released in Paul Walker's lifetime. Rest in peace, Paul Walker, since he died in a car accident. And, you know, biggest twisted irony here.
Was it so? But he's in the next one.
Well,
he's in part of the. He's like, because I know his character is in the next one, and he died halfway through shooting that.
Well, they CG'd his likeness, and they used like his brothers or something to act it out, if I understand.
Brother's like a stand-in.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
he is in the next one.
Correct.
Okay.
Is and is not at the same time. So
I mean, he does appear.
Yeah. This one had many filming locations, including L.A., London, Glasgow, Spain, Canary Islands. So it's quite a long list here, and I think in Moscow a little bit. I can't remember. What else do we got? Critics gave it generally positive reviews with praise for direction and the performances by the actors, which I would agree that this film has the best acting we've seen so far. I really enjoyed Fast 5 and all the acting in that, but I think this one was even better with that, chemistry-wise and everything.
Yeah. Yes, I agree. I mean, well, just like it took 6 movies for me to like give a shit about any of the characters, any of the main characters.
Right.
But like finally you do. Mm-hmm. You know, after this many movies.
Right. And just like Fast 5, Universal Studios was again quoted as saying, with the 5th film onward, they are steering away from focusing on car culture. So I'm definitely pun intended there. There's no way they said that without it being pun intended. That's the quote. That's the quote I found.
Speeding away from it.
Steering away from car culture.
Yeah.
Because Universal Pictures believe that there is a ceiling of how many people would want to see a film if it's just car culture.
Right.
It got a bunch of awards, like Teen Choice Awards. Like there was an MTV award. There wasn't.
It got a bunch of awards that don't matter.
Yeah, precisely. So, what else was in theaters on May 24th, 2013, or the surrounding time? So let's set.
Yeah, you told me some of these.
I know. So
already.
So in 2013, I wasn't really going to the theater a lot. I can't really pick out anything in that year that stands out to me. But the films that were in theaters at the same time as Fast and Furious 6 were Hangover 3, Iron Man 3, a lot of threes.
Yeah, that one was okay though.
Oz, Great and Powerful, The Great Gatsby. Yep.
Weird.
Yep. Star Trek Into Darkness, The Purge, like the very first
one,
the first.
Which
Purge.
I thought it was older than that. That's crazy. Okay.
And everyone's like the Citizen Kane of our age, The Croods.
Oh yeah, you said there was an animated one that you hadn't
That's
heard
like a
of,
weird DreamWorks one about like cavemen.
Yep, they're cavemen.
I think it's
didn't see it
DreamWorks. I can't
either.
remember.
It's not Pixar, but we're into the era where Pixar is maybe not obsolete, but it's like Illumination is making a lot of movies now.
Right.
The animated ones.
Fast and Furious 6 saw multiple video game releases, which I don't think the prior films really did. So,
kind of blows me away. I didn't know about any of these.
So the big tie-in game for this film was Fast and Furious Showdown, which was released on 360, PS3, 3DS, and Wii U for some reason. So
for some reason.
So that is probably...
They didn't have enough movie tie-ins on Wii U.
I need to look up the price of Fast and Furious Showdown on Wii U.
Man, if you could get it.
Yeah.
What would you pay? What would be your ceiling?
I don't know. I mean, I'd hopefully find it thrifting.
It's sealed.
Well, who cares? I
don't know. It. You don't care.
I've never been like, oh, I need to have a game sealed with collecting.
It was Fast and the Furious 6 on Wii U.
Yeah, so that was not a reflection of the film itself. The fact that there's a Wii U game, but yeah. Last fun fact. Speaking of pushing out stuff really quickly onto game consoles. Post-production for this film was supposed to take 18 months, but they completed it in 12 weeks.
Holy shit.
Yeah. It took like multiple like visual effect like directors. Like there was like a lot of people, and it said they used 2 giant sound stages for like mastering and stuff.
Huh.
2 or 3. Like it was too much and above normal. I don't know a lot about film production.
I don't know. Yeah, to me, that doesn't necessarily. I don't understand.
Right. Well, so
I'm not gonna pretend like I do, but that sounds like it's probably a lot. I don't know what they needed sound stages for. Probably the some of the bigger stunts at the end during the plane stuff, like the hanging shit.
Yeah, which I'll get into the stunts a little later as we talk about them, because I just don't want to spoil them right now.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
So let's dive right in. So
the beginning of the movie, the opening credits, we're watching it, and I realize it's about to be a fucking montage of like a previously on. It's like clips of every movie in a row, right?
Right. I almost forgot about
that. That happens right away, right?
No, it does.
There's not a like a cold open or anything. It pops right on.
Well, no, doesn't Mia? She's having her baby, and I can't remember if that's the cold open and then it opens with something else.
Jesus.
Regardless,
it doesn't matter.
So the opening of this film. So again, bear in mind 2013. So this film is getting to the age where it's looking dated. As the opening of the film looks like a TV show, just like with like fast clips of stuff we've seen and whatnot.
Yeah,
you know?
It's just I think it's lame because I know that there are like 4 or 5 more movies after this one, but we're watching it, and it's just a montage of like random clips of everything that led up to this movie. And I lean over and I grab the bottle of gummies and I eat another gummy.
Oh yeah,
and I'm just like I'm gonna toast myself.
No, you just looked at me and you're like, I gotta be toasted for this one. And you're just shaking your head
because I was worried right at that moment. I was like, man, because ever since Fast 4 wasn't as good as I was like hoping it was gonna be.
Right.
I was kind of let down, but then 5 was better. And lo and behold, man, this fucking one, I mean, despite the cheesy opening credits, and I just wrote, "Aww,"
Well, yeah, so after the weird TV show intro, it opens with Mia having her baby, and Paul Walker is now a dad. And then Vin Diesel's like, yeah, family. And then we see... And I don't think we've seen Vin Diesel smile as much as he did in like the first 2 minutes of the film.
He's pretty emotive in this one.
Yeah, it seems like, he's super likes kids, or he's super good with kids, and he's excited. He's genuinely excited to be around this baby, and it's like super, super cute, I think.
Yeah, an example of one of the actors like actually acting in this.
Right.
And it's Vin Diesel. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Vin Diesel. Like, you're an actor.
And then Whiplash, we have reached, Hobbs is in Russia. That's right.
Yes.
Hobbs in Russia. And we're talking about this gentleman. We haven't been introduced yet. Owen Shaw in London.
Yeah, he's like an ex-SS or something, right? Like British intelligence or whatever.
I don't know. It wasn't clear. It just, the impression I got was like rich guy grows up to become rich criminal.
No, he's like an ex SS officer or whatever for the UK.
Like,
is what I read in the wiki. Okay. I had to look it up earlier today. So he is like an ex-military, whatever, special operations kind of guy.
Right.
But it turns out to be the like sort of operational backbone to like a bunch of different criminal organizations.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Right?
It's very
like
difficult to explain. So
he's sort of like contracted to other like organizations to I don't know, I guess. It wasn't clear, or am I just high?
No. No, it wasn't clear. We later learned that the drug dealer, like Arturo Braga, who was in the fourth film, actually works for Shaw. So this is going to be very important because if you recall from the fifth movie, we see that photo of Letty and she's alive. And it's like a recent photo. So basically, like Owen Shaw, super bad guy, especially if you have somebody like Braga working for you. And Hobbs is like, I only know one guy, one family that could take Owen Shaw down. And
and where is Vin Diesel at this time? He's like in
they're all spread out everywhere.
Yeah.
So at the end of the fifth film, they got that, what was it, like $100 million out of the safe.
I don't remember the number. They got that they got that big safe of money, basically.
So they all split up and they're all just leading quiet lives on their own corners of the planet.
They actually did like do their one last job.
Yeah.
Like I was thinking about this earlier today, that the way they keep the series going is actually tends to be kind of clever, or at least this point.
Yeah.
Like, right? Like we're in the cause and effect, the Marvel cause and effect loop now.
Yeah.
Where everything that happens will be some sort of cause for the next thing in the next movie to happen, right? Like it's just constantly. And so The Rock shows up to Vin Diesel's like island home.
Yeah, he's living off like the Canary Islands.
Yeah,
I think, and he's living with the
Elena.
So the police officer from the fifth film that she lost her husband, kind of had a crush.
Oh yeah,
so,
we'll get to them.
Yeah,
this in this movie
somewhat important. So they're all in their own corners of the planet, like living their lives, and it kind of does like a supercut as to who's doing what. I also had like the same cast in previous films also shows up here. So Tyrese Gibson, Ludacris, Gal Gadot, Sung Kang. So everybody shows up again. It's all the same people, which actually made me enjoy this a lot more. We got to see a lot of character development,
actual character development, like real arcs and stuff for the most part. Again, at least I can at least say that just at this point in the franchise, I have some attachment to some of these characters to an extent where I actually give a shit what's happening.
Right. And we'll get into that too, because there's a lot of stuff that tugs at your heartstrings in this.
Yeah.
So Hobbs needs to round the whole gang up to go find Shaw. And going back to what you were saying, he visits Vin Diesel and he presents him with photos of Letty, and he says these were taken 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And Vin Diesel believes him because he wants to believe Letty is alive. So bear in mind, he's living, I think, in the Canary Islands with this woman that, it seems to have a relationship with. And
a good one. They were like,
and it's like they bonded because, like, Vin Diesel lost Letty. You said her name was Elena?
Yeah.
Right? So Elena,
I only just found that out today.
So Elena became a police officer in Brazil because her husband was a police officer and he was killed in the line of fire or something.
Yeah, well, I think he was killed by the drug lord from 5.
Yeah.
I've already forgotten.
So Vin Diesel and Elena, they bond just over grieving, like suffering from loss. And in the fifth film, I was like, wow, that's super cool that, they're learning to grow as people and get over stuff.
Yeah.
But no.
No, here comes this movie.
But no, and I was astounded that it took this direction. I keep saying Vin Diesel. I'll just say Dom. So Dom.
You can call him Vin Diesel. That's who we're talking about.
He looks at Elena. So it's sunrise. Hobbs is standing there.
Yeah.
And they're just both staring at each other. And Elena says, go find her.
Yeah.
Go find her. If it were my husband, I'd do the same thing.
I'd do the same thing.
And I was like, why?
Well, and at that point, too, it wasn't even totally clear yet. Like, they're just breaking up? Like Letty is alive and she's just saying like, fine, go back to your old relationship. Technically now they're not bonded.
Yeah, they're
because
just like
Letty's not dead. At least like
and that
Dom
just
doesn't
undid
think so.
everything.
Kind of retconned itself. Just.
And by the way, we don't even know if like Hobbs is like japes about this because Paul Walker looks at the photos and he's like, I was a cop. We used to do this all the time. Fabricate this and that.
Which was interesting. I still liked that. I'm happy to finally have them not necessarily like on the run from the cops.
Right.
And so like
they still can't return to the United States though.
Oh yes.
So because they
forgot
are
about the
still,
fucking prison thing.
Yeah, so they are still wanted criminals
in the US. US. They are apparently rich enough to roam around the rest of the world without a care in the world.
Right.
Like and so yeah, she just lets him go.
Yeah.
And that's it. And then like we gotta go get the gang back together.
We don't see her again.
No, we do. We do.
Oh, at the very end. No, I already
there is
pushed that out of my head because that made me so mad.
There is a fucking thing that I considered earlier today.
Friends, listeners, you don't understand how enraged
this was pretty
I
funny.
It was pretty funny.
No, I'm gonna bring it up right now. I'm just gonna bring it up right now so we get it out of the way because I have the energy. Is at the end of the movie that near the end of the movie there's the part where Paul Walker's family is like being held hostage.
Right.
Remember?
Yep.
And they have to let Shaw go.
Yeah.
Because of that thing. And Elena is there. Right?
Mm-hmm.
She's there with her and she's like shooting. Remember there's like this scene where they're on the phone and like, oh my God. And because his men are showing up.
Yeah.
And they're like shooting at her and she's like shooting. Elena is with his family, protecting his family, getting shot at, shooting at. And at the end of the movie, they just go, see ya.
I know.
See ya. Like, see ya. And there's just the most uncomfortable scene where it's like everybody is fine.
Yeah.
Thank you for protecting my wife
and my baby.
my I guess my sister, my family, I guess, because it's Mia's
family.
Like she's there putting her life on the line for his family. And it's like at the end of the movie, they just go, bleh.
You can no, and like Letty is sitting on Dom's lap, and Dom is looking at
so
this
weird.
woman. He's like, "Well, you can come visit us if you want."
Oh no, he comes up to her and he goes, "You don't have to go."
Yeah.
What? You don't have to go? What does that mean? What are you saying? And I had to bring that up right away because I thought about that earlier.
I feel,
and I didn't even think about it when we were watching it.
Oh, she just seems so cool with it, and yet I feel bad.
Because I really feel like here's my biggest issue with this movie and just the Letty thing, the Letty storyline is just that the amnesia thing leads to just her, like you said, just sitting on Dom's lap and being like I think part of one of her lines is just like, I guess I just have to accept that this is my family.
Yeah.
Or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And she's like on Dom's lap, like sitting on his dick, you know, like, I guess if you guys say so.
Yeah.
You know, meanwhile, like this poor Brazilian girl is just like, now she just gets to go back to grieving for her husband, who, you know, holy shit. It was so weird when it would have made more sense that like her and Dom stay together because Letty is like, yes, you like I knew all of you, but my brain, I have horrific brain trauma, by the way.
So Letty doesn't remember anything. So so I didn't realize that she didn't remember anything.
I'm done with that rest of this, so let's just move on. So
because I really want to talk about Letty now.
Keep going. Yes, we have to get into that because it's...
So Owen, I should just say Shaw. I keep saying Owen.
Yeah.
So Shaw gets pictures of Letty with Dom, like these really, like their wedding photos, I think. And he tosses them on the table. This is like when they're in their hideout.
They kind of looked like surveillance photos to me. Were they wedding photos?
I thought they were, because it looked like at a party or something.
They just had a sepia filter on them. That's all I remember.
But anyway, so they were both in the picture together, and Shaw's like, Letty, do you know this guy? And like, you know, his whole crew is like looking at her all sus, like, oh, is she like an informant of some kind?
Yeah.
And Letty is like, she's like, I don't know this person. I don't know why I'm here. And I thought she was just like faking that. I didn't realize that she actually lost like her memory right away.
Did this happen before or after she runs into him and shoots him?
That's after she shoots him, because she goes back and, she says, oh, that's the guy I shot at. Because initially I thought because she shot at Dom, but didn't like, and it was a non-lethal shot. And I was like, oh, she did that on purpose. She knows how to shoot. She's not shooting to kill him.
Exactly.
That's what I thought.
And I was thinking, I was intrigued because I was like, oh, she's into some shit. And we don't know what it is, but she has to pretend not to know Dom.
Yeah.
And shooting, I mean, it would be cliche. Mm-hmm. It would be trope. It would be sort of a trope, but I would have accepted that a little bit more than just the brain trauma.
So because she shot Dom that way and it looked like an intentional, like, non-lethal shot, I was like, oh, well, she obviously didn't want to kill him, so because she knows him, so she's pretending to not know him.
Is the movie pretending. They don't really say. Do they say that she was just? Does it actually say that she just sucks, that she just couldn't shoot? Or is it like, is the movie trying to imply that like subconsciously she missed?
I don't know.
Because she actually like that, like she kind of knows him.
It's
I hate in 2023 amnesia is still portrayed the same way it is in like I was talking about it earlier today. Somebody that has amnesia so bad that they can't remember like years of their life, and we don't even really know what is blank to her. Mm-hmm. Does she just not remember the past like 30 years? Is that like what they're telling us?
I don't know.
Like, what? How do you operate from there? How do you? She's walking around like she hasn't had any therapy, any kind of like. She's driving, and she's like shooting. She can't remember like 25, 30 years of her life. This movie's just like, yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna lose. I hadn't even considered like, the whole like therapy, like the actual reality of what would be necessary to recover.
She can just be pulled out of a ditch after being exploded by a car.
Right.
And taken in by some like British guy that is a soldier. And just treated. Her amnesia is just like, it's like a scar. She just can't remember 20 to 30 fucking years.
Right.
Like, anyways, what I was getting at earlier though was that like it would have made more sense if she's like, I'm now forever a different person because I don't remember most of my life, so I have to go off on my own, and you guys have to stay together because now you are, I think that would have made more sense. But this movie is just like, no, amnesia is a thing. Here's what it is. This just I don't dislike this movie at all because of this, but I'm just griping about amnesia just used as this bullshit kind of just get out of jail free card, for these people.
Right.
What else did you
have? Well, yeah, so that whole like car chase scene before that, so that's when we see the there's this super cool F1 car that was modified to have
the ramp car.
A ramp car.
Oh, and this is the only thing I remember from the trailers when this was being released, was the ramp cars.
Yeah. Yeah, so I did look up some of the stunts about this or in this film, and so many awesome practical effects.
Yeah.
And they're so cleverly
Dude, no
built.
CG cars, or at least not too fast.
Yeah. So Owen Shaw's flip car. So it's an actual F1 car. It's super low to the ground. Works exactly the same, but it has this giant steel ramp on the front of it, and this ramp allows the driver in this car to catapult other cars into the air while keeping the driver safe.
Yeah, it's even got like a little pneumatic flap on the front,
Right?
Like, which doesn't seem to do anything. It kind of just keeps a car from going over the top or something, and he can like push you around.
Yeah.
Which is just crazy. I mean, it was a super cool effect.
Yeah, definitely look up some of the stunts in this. If like, even if you don't want to watch the whole movie, I'd say just look up some of these crazy scenes.
This, I have been ignoring these movies for so long, and I forgot how much I miss just watching cars fucking get smashed.
Right. Yeah.
And this movie has it.
Yeah.
Like, thank God.
Yeah, you just need some of that. So yeah, the whole time we learn Letty loses her memory comes after this like intense scene of this Shaw's flip car and that lady that's with him.
Yeah, is that the chick from The Witch? Was it the blonde chick from The Witch? Is that Anna Taylor something? Anna Taylor-Joy? Is that her name?
No, I don't. No, that's not her.
Okay, it looks like her, but
looks like
she doesn't do anything but sit in that car. This is the whole movie, right?
She
see
drives
her walk
it.
around like once.
Yeah, she drives a flip car twice. So
that's right. She wipes out. She wipes out on.
She
that
wipes
one part
out at the end. Ooh, it was so brutal.
It was fucking rad. This movie paid off so much shit. I was just like, just melt. Let me melt in my stupid brain. Movie. So there's also the Rock interrogating that guy in the kind of beginning of the movie.
Oh my gosh,
in that room. Oh yeah. Before I even get to that, Gina Carano. That's the chick who is his like sidekick for most of this movie. Mm-hmm. She's the face.
Yeah.
Looks like a ham. She's got a face looks like a giant pork butt. Like
I didn't think so.
I mean, she has like she has a fighter's jock. She was in, I think she fought in Pride, or she was in MMA, like early days MMA.
Uh-huh.
She's been in movies here and there. She's an awful actress though. She was in the first Deadpool movie. She's terrible. So that's why the only reason I recognized her is like she reminds me of Gina Carano. Anyways, but yeah, she's standing in the other room watching The Rock interrogate this guy, through like a one-way mirror.
Mm-hmm.
And he is just like grabbing this guy. He grabs him and he throws him up into the ceiling, like into the fucking lights. Mm-hmm. And I mean, right away this movie goes, everything's going to be absurd. Yep. Everything's going to be ridiculous. The Rock is a federal, a DSS agent, which I did look it up again to make sure it's still a real agency. Mm-hmm. But it's just so insane that he just the way he throws this guy like into the ceiling and then like through the table, and they're just like, whoa. Like, I loved it. I loved it so much. But it was not this movie's rat bucket.
No, the rat bucket part is the auction scene.
Yeah.
So Ludacris and Tyrese Gibson, so they're at this super crazy expensive auction party thing.
Oh, this is London. The snooty butler.
Yeah, the snooty butler.
Yeah.
This is the rat bucket.
This is
of the film.
Yeah, so we've decided now since this movie that each movie has its rat bucket equivalent. Like the torture scene, which is not The Rock throwing a man through furniture, but
yeah.
But
so anyway, ahead. The guys are dressed super casually. Oh yeah, Hobbs is there too.
Yeah, it's Hobbs and Ludacris, and they need to get cars for the operation they're gonna do. Because Shaw, we back up a little bit. Shaw's whole thing is they're collecting these certain pieces of tech to build some sort of device that I don't remember what it does. If it just wipes out electrical grids, it's like an EMP kind of weapon or something.
Yeah, these like microchip things.
Yeah, that's which I completely didn't even catch till like halfway through the movie.
Yeah,
but yeah, I forgot where we were going. I threw myself off bringing that part up because they're at the car auction to get cars for the.
Yeah, so we were talking about mission. The rat bucket of this.
That's right. Sorry,
so
continue.
The snooty butler is like, oh, like, you guys aren't well dressed enough to be here. He calls them like, are you the help? Or what does he say?
There's no way you could afford any of the vehicles here. He's like some shit like that.
Yeah, and basically, they do afford like almost all the vehicles there.
Yeah, they do. Yeah,
they're in the garage.
Ludacris buys every single car at this auction.
Yeah, and the butler is like, "Oh, hello, sir." He like comes back to them like half apologetic. Without apologizing, and he's like, well, if there's anything else you need, please let me know. And Ludacris is like, yeah, I'm gonna need that shirt. So, and then like Hobbs is like, oh yeah, your jacket is nice. And then they say, oh, your pants are. So they're basically just humiliating him by making him strip. So there's this horrible, like 3-minute scene of this hairy British man stripping.
I didn't understand why he had. Why did he have to comply? Like, because it all starts because he's like, "Is there anything else I could do for you, gentlemen?" And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "I like that jacket," and they just start saying that about every piece of his clothing, and it's not like they're giving him, they're not like handing him like $1,000 every time, right? They're
just telling him to
I
take
like
up
that.
his clothes.
Like, it is funny because he's like, my friend likes the jacket, and it's The Rock, and he's obviously too big, and he's like, I don't think it'll fit, and The Rock just goes, it'll fit.
Yeah.
Like, that was funny. But the rest of it's just weird. Why was he just going along with it? And he's like, okay, and he's like down to like his underwear, and they're like
socks.
They're like, okay, be gone. He's like, he just shuffles away. And I just didn't know. I didn't know if I was supposed to be like, yeah, fuck that fucking British guy, you fucking asshole. Go be naked. Like, how embarrassing for you. Oh, it was just so weird.
Yeah, it just definitely did not need that scene at all.
Not at all. It was enough of a gotcha for them to be like, for him to just be like, I'm just going to buy here's $1 bazillion. I just have infinite money, you piece of shit. Fuck you. And that would have been fine.
Yeah.
But no. That seems like it would have been like a deleted scene or something.
I know. Should have been.
Like, they just left that in. Like, anyways, so they get all of those vehicles after that 5-minute scene of the man losing his dignity.
Yeah. Oh, bless you.
Thank you.
And they need to hunt down the guy that mods the cars for Shaw. So that's like where Han and Roman come in, and Giselle is there, and somebody I can't remember. But they go to the mechanic that works on the flip car.
It's Gal Gadot and The Rock's and Gina Carano.
Okay, yeah.
Because remember, she turns at the very end of the movie. I keep thinking of her as a villain now.
Yeah.
They go to find the guy who he built the flip cars, and he's working on like a harpoon gun thing.
Yeah.
Which I wrote something down about the harpoon gun that is kind of, I think, I had a thought about this that's interesting. Mm-hmm. Which is a sentence I never thought I'd say about a harpoon gun.
Right.
Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, the mechanic is like, so they try to seduce him in a way, and they're trying to, and then they end up like pinning him on the ground, asking him, about how to like make those flip cars and like what he does.
Is that, I forget what they were actually asking him. They were just like, we need information about the stuff you build for Shaw or whatever.
Yeah.
And
basically Shaw is already on their ass. Doesn't
he just show up?
Yep. And the mechanic ends up dying.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, he seemed like he could have been a funny character for like a minute.
Yeah.
And no, they just sexually assault him.
Yeah.
and then he gets shot.
Yeah.
I don't remember what happens. There's just a chase after that, or do they?
Yeah, there's a chase.
He shows up. This part's foggy. I just know they get this harpoon gun, and they're like fucking with it, and they shoot it through like 10 feet of concrete.
Yeah.
It's like this giant concrete beam.
Yeah, the harpoon gun with a NOS tank.
It's a
on it.
NOS tank, which is like the NOS gags in this movie are very few and very interesting.
Right.
Because this harpoon gun has NOS attached to it. Mm-hmm. And I thought of it as this weird kind of like send off to the car culture stuff in these movies where it's like remember the harpoon gun from the first movie, and now we have a harpoon gun in the 6th movie with a NOS tank, and they don't even use it for anything but to like Gina Carano gets shot with one.
Well, they try to stop the landing gear on the plane.
Oh, that is what they were using. Okay,
Yeah.
well that makes more sense now.
Yeah, and then
it's still funny.
Yeah, that plane scene though.
Oh
Oh my gosh.
it's
I'm gonna
so
talk about that
worth
real
it.
quick.
It's so go ahead.
Yeah, so this is like almost at the very end of the film, and this is like the peak action scene. So there's this like Soviet era cargo like
Monster.
airplane. It's huge,
Yeah.
like you know, just archaic looking rattling steel.
Lumbers through the sky.
Yeah,
this
it's
thing.
yeah.
I love those kind of giant planes.
And it's going like 100 miles an hour on this runway. And and Shaw is in there, and this is where Mia is also being held hostage. And Shaw's not up there yet. He's on the runway chasing it, and the ramp and it lowers so he can drive up into the plane.
Yes.
And it's like everybody, it's Han, Giselle,
It's the whole crew.
yeah. Mia starts driving at one point. Yeah, it's everybody. They're all chasing this plane, and they need to fire the harpoon gun.
So was Elena babysitting for them? Did they?
I don't know.
Sorry, go ahead. Keep
I
going.
don't know what was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even think I realized Mia was being held hostage in there until like after the fact when the fight scene started. But
Yeah, you're right. I kind of didn't notice either. Well, there's a lot that happens in this the setup of this.
Yeah.
All these people are flying onto this runway.
So everybody's tossing around this harpoon gun, like Han, Giselle, like they're trying to like fire it into this like specific parts of the plane wing, so it can't take off.
They're trying to shoot him into the flaps. You're
Yeah.
right.
Mhm.
God, I forgot about
And
that.
they keep missing.
Yes.
And Giselle ends up sacrificing herself because the one Russian guy was like about to attack Han, and she lets go, and then she falls into like the runway, but she manages to shoot.
It's really cool.
It's so dramatic.
So
it's so
you-
sad.
Yeah.
It's so sad because like
because Han and her have become more
Han,
more
like-
of an item in this
Han
movie.
like turns around and like because her shot didn't kill the guy, he just starts like beating like the absolute shit out of him.
Yeah.
While like this plane on this runway is going like 100 miles an hour.
This is meanwhile they are harpooned to the wings of this plane, and it is lifting 2 cars up next to each other.
They're not even on the ground anymore.
No.
So just imagine this scene with just this is happening, and Han is like he's not holding on to like the cars. He's just beating the crap out of this dude. It's just a silhouette with this plane on fire behind him. It was like, whoa.
Yeah.
And he ends up like throwing him into the
Oh, that's right. Well, because
into the engine.
because
Was that Han?
Giselle,
Throw him into the engine?
so he like Giselle jumps back, willingly jumps backwards off of this car, and Max Payne shoots this guy who is about to like. He's is he on top of Han or something? He shoots him enough that he kind of blah blah blahs over, and Han kind of like up kicks him from underneath, and it kicks him up into the engine of the like on the wing that they're fighting under. Which I was waiting for that to happen to somebody, and it could not have been better. But then that's like right after. I want to say that's right after he sees her kind of fall off into the one of 2 deaths that are both people falling into the deep dark fog.
Yeah.
sort of ambiguous deaths.
Yeah, because that's how Shaw dies.
Right? Question or
'Cause
Giselle?
he gets-
Question?
'cause Shaw gets blown out of the ramp of the cargo bay, like just sucked out. And that was like pretty gruesome.
It was pretty cool, but honestly, I could have. But then we get Gina Carano getting shot with the harpoon, which is dope because it's like Letty's like wrong team, bitch.
Yeah.
Shoots her this harpoon and it launches her out of the door of the side of the plane, which is like the most definitive death out of this whole scene beyond the guy going into the engine. But I could have used a better death for Shaw, but that also makes me wonder if he comes back later. I know Jason Statham is his brother. He comes in later.
Me just being woefully ignorant. I
exactly.
do not know
Me
yet.
too. Well, this I don't know. This I don't know for sure. But it does make me wonder if they are left that way with the leaving it open in case they do need to or want to bring them back. You can be like, oh, but they just like fell into the fog. You know. So, like, obviously, we can just explain how we can just. That's what it looks like. You don't see him hit you don't see him hit pavement. He just falls off into the dark. They were only like 20 feet off the ground this whole time.
Can you imagine? No. Listen.
What?
Listen. Someone that you know that was close to you that you thought was dead is now back after 20 years. And you're like, what? Where have you been? What has happened? And all they said was, I fell into the fog. Would you be satisfied with that answer?
No.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. That is exactly the point that I'm making here is I'm not satisfied with that death for either of these two characters. Not at all. Like if Shaw could have went up into one of the engines, I would have been like, he's already the most like capable villain we've had in any of those movies so far.
Yeah. Oh my God, Frog. He is so rad.
I like the actor, even though he's done nothing but like garbage movies beyond this one. This is probably the best movie I've seen him in.
Right.
He was in Dracula Untold, which I watched while I stretched my nose that first time. So that movie's just forever reminds me of that. But this part was cool. Even though I have an issue with there is the chase scene right before this scene on the bridge and shit. And this movie's climax kind of comes in like 2 beats, sort of. Because you get the chase on the bridge with the tank and shit, which is fucking cool. But then like you have like a quick break and then this plane thing.
Right.
I don't know what I was gonna build off of that. It's just kind of paced kind of weird. You know what I mean?
I do want to talk about that stunt a little bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, a replica of a actual Soviet era fuselage was built.
Yeah.
And the very front of it, the nose was covered in all this flammable material so that it could set on fire. Because there's this stunt at the end where a Dodge Charger comes out of the nose of the plane, remember? Because like Vin Diesel's in it.
Yeah, because it crashes right behind him.
Yeah. So they installed a cannon inside this giant flammable nose. And they put the Dodge Charger inside this giant cannon in this flammable nose of an airplane that's already on fire.
Yeah. And
they fire a Dodge Charger out of a cannon. And it explodes.
It's probably the most glorious thing that I've seen in any of these movies.
So, and scientists and math people did the math. So based on the speed they were going and like how much ground they would need to cover like in real time and whatnot, the runway had to be like over 18 miles long.
Yeah.
Because they were going like 100 miles an hour.
Which is hilarious because that's exactly the number that you guessed when we were watching.
Right.
It.
And the longest runway in the world, like right now in 2023, is just a little over 3 miles long. So like 3.42 miles. 18 miles long.
That's...
18
it
miles.
kind of blows it kind of blows my mind because there are
right.
so many things this movie asks you to ignore, you know, so many things you have to ignore to enjoy it, you know. But that one was really hard. We just kept talking about it.
Yeah.
This whole scene, it's like every few minutes would be like, still on this runway.
Yeah, we're still here. We're going over 100 miles an hour. We're over like 20 minutes. Like, it's a really long road.
There were so many things happening too, and you still notice.
Well, no, and at the very end of that scene, the runway just ends. Like the dead end is just right there.
The plane finally explodes, and it slides another 1,000 miles down this runway, and there's this part where it's panning out, and you see the wreckage of this plane. And you see all our characters in a group, and right there you could see the border of the end of the airstrip, like the universe's longest airfield, longest landing strip, longest fucking whatever, and they managed to stop like 20 feet.
Yeah.
Like 20 feet from like the barriers from the end of the runway. Like, get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Like,
it really was. It really did feel like another 1,000 miles of just watching the wreckage.
oh my God.
Slide.
It took like 10 miles just for the plane to blow up. Like,
yeah.
Holy shit. But it was awesome. Like we got done watching it, we just kept talking about that part, and like I was looking for behind the scenes stuff for it on YouTube, and we just ended up watching.
Oh yeah, that was really
that whole
cool.
scene
Let's
again.
talk about that for a second. So we looked up. We tried to look up on YouTube some like making of or like the stunt parts.
Which we watched this movie on a Blu-ray that has 2 discs, and it probably has this stuff on it, like you said.
But I mean, there was like this. Just like on YouTube, like this really, really, really old video of like somebody using like a personal camera or something, like a really old digital camera, and they're just like
it was
filming
just
them getting filmed.
It was literally just
sense?
behind the scenes footage of them, just doing like regular like dialogue shots and whatever. Which I used to kind of watch that stuff when I was a kid, but I haven't in a while because it was always really interesting. Like you said, you're seeing, and you could be seeing like different takes of like scenes,
right?
And you're like, oh, weird.
Right.
Interesting. It's just kind of one thing I heard about today. There's the part at the cookout, and you brought this up and you called it. The part where The Rock walks into the cookout. And Tyrese and Ludacris are standing there, and Tyrese is like, "Oh shit, better hide all the baby oil." And The Rock goes, "You better hide that big ass forehead." Ad-libbed completely, like on the spot by The Rock.
Really?
Like you said, because you were watching it, and you go, "That sounded like that was ad-libbed."
I did say that.
And you see, and that spit take Ludacris does is real.
Oh really?
Like that was like none of that was even supposed to be in the shot, and they kept it all because Tyrese like played it.
Oh, where did you read that?
Jordan told me at work today.
Okay. Thank you, Jordan.
Yeah, 'cause he knows. He looked up all kinds of shit about this movie too. But when I was talking to him about us doing this episode.
Interesting. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, so I was like, Emily's gonna be so happy to hear that she called that weird random. That was hilarious though. Like, man. I like this movie a lot.
Yeah, I do too. So I think right after we got done watching it, I had a huge hankering just to flip on the Italian Job, like the 1969 one.
I've just in general
Just want to watch Michael Caine steal cars.
Yeah, you said that, and I was thinking French Connection, and I mean, dude, like even there's like some late '90s stuff like The Rock, like the Jerry Bruckheimer, like Don Simpson era of like action movies. Con Air is in there too. Just those, like I haven't watched any of those in quite some time. Actually, I watch The Rock every like 2 years, or Con Air every 2 years. So, but yeah, it's reminding me of some stuff that we'll have to go down and check out again. Check out for sure. But, there's an end credit scene to this.
Oh yeah.
Which I say let's talk about the end credit scene and wrap this up.
Yeah, so it cuts to Tokyo and
yes, because Giselle dies and Han is still planning on going back to Tokyo like they were talking about. Right, because they're like, we're gonna go to Tokyo.
And it cuts to the scene from Tokyo Drift, the third movie, where it's the big street race, and there's this huge dramatic part where they're driving through like a huge sea of pedestrians, and the pedestrians just like part like right as they're drifting in the street race. And after like Han's like, I think he's in first place or he's close to it. Like after he completes this drift, this white car smashes into him and causes him to flip, and then his car starts to like it's not set on fire yet, but it's about to explode.
It does
Han's
things
stuck upside down, crushed in his car.
Yep.
And in the third movie, like in Tokyo Drift, we don't see who crashed into him at all.
Yeah, because it looks to be just cross traffic.
A fluke, a weird thing.
It's a wild car chase.
But no, we learn now. We get the other perspective. Of the guy crashing into Han, and it turns out to be Owen Shaw's brother.
So
or something?
They don't say it in the movie,
right?
But there is a line. I mean, we know that it is because because Jason Statham plays Shaw in the later movies, and my first thought was like, did they recast him at some point? And then no, there's a line. Owen Shaw says he goes, my brother has a saying that blah 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 blah, and there's never any other mention.
Right.
So I know that's what it is, but they reveal it in the next movie that it's now Jason Statham is Owen Shaw's brother, and he's coming to try and kill everybody in revenge for his brother.
And this is how we know that the third movie, Tokyo Drift, actually takes place after this movie.
Yep. Which I was actually not expecting to see. I wasn't expecting an end credit scene to make that connection.
Like, I knew going into us like watching all these that I always heard like, oh, the events in the third movie actually take place after the sixth movie, but I had no idea how they were going to tie together.
Yeah,
could not remotely predict that, but they tied it together in a super cool way.
The one thing about these movies so far, especially like at this point, is they have done a really good job at like continuity. But in this movie there are so many random references to like Too Fast.
Yeah.
There's references to things from the first movie.
Yeah.
And they're all like kind of interesting. Like the one FBI guy gets his nose broke, by Paul Walker, and he's like, oh, again, and like, oh yes, and I completely forgotten about that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like
the scene with Paul Walker has to break into being in
prison. I was gonna talk about that earlier, and I'm just over it. It's just that's the most unnecessary thing that happens in this whole movie is him going
and interviewing Braga
in prison
in solitary confinement.
Why couldn't he just have asked his FBI friend to go talk to Braga?
I don't know.
Why couldn't he just be like, hey, FBI bud, I know like I'm still not cool over there, but could you ask?
Right.
Instead, he like goes to whatever. It's unnecessary. He learns nothing. But man, this movie was still cool, and I'm even more excited now.
Me too.
I'm legitimately more excited. And I mean, it is. I've realized also that I feel like Too Fast, Too Furious and Tokyo Drift, those movies were kind of just shoveled off to Justin Lin. Like,
right.
hey, you're nobody. Just make these movies. They're not gonna do shit, but just make these movies. And I think we've like by chance, by sheer laziness of these studios that they don't want to blah blah blah, just give it to this guy. We've watched this guy like be a better director and make better movies as they've gone along. Because we're still watching the same guy that made Too Fast, Too Furious, and the movie's shit.
Right.
It's stupid.
Oh, I agree.
And it's cool. It's been fun.
So I'm gonna give my final ranking.
Yeah.
So the order in which I like the film. So going from most liked to least liked for me would be probably 6, 5, 3, 4, 1, 2.
6, 5, 3, 4, 1, 2. Yeah. Yeah. I need to actually write that down so I can see it. You said 6, 5, 4, 3.
No, 6, 5, 3, 4, 1, 2.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, Too Fast is definitely creeping down to the bottom.
It is the bottom.
It is the bottom.
It
It is the absolute
bucket.
rat bucket. Scraping the crust off the bottom of the bucket. Yeah. And I would think that I think I agree with this too. I'm just starting to really dislike 4.
Yeah, me too.
Like the more that I have, the more modern of the modern era of this franchise, 4 is so clunky and weird.
Yeah.
And weak. I
agree.
However, I do feel like I am more likely to go back and watch it again now, just to see, just to be like, what the fuck was weird about that? And I remember only one thing, and it's still the tunnels. The tunnels still weird me out about that fucking movie, and how often we go back to the goddamn tunnels.
It's true. Yeah.
Like, it's so annoying. But yeah, I would probably rank them in the same. The same 5 for now. 5 only survives because of that last chase scene and just the ridiculous car flinging with chains and stuff. I would agree with that.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about the tank scene, but
no,
I
mean,
a tank scene. Look it up.
It's okay. It's cool. Tank runs cars over. So many civilians
over
die.
250 cars.
Yeah.
It's a real tank
Yeah.
ran over 250
and
cars.
it flips over. There's the Dom catching Letty in midair ridiculousness.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't even think about bringing that part up so much because it is what it is. It's a really cool scene and it's so ridiculous, but it's something I've seen. It's something I've seen a bunch.
Right.
That plane scene just overshadows it so hard, just with the absurdity.
Right.
And I'm happy though. I'm happy. The family is we're fueled by family.
We are.
Now.
We are.
Your letter grade for this?
I'll give it an A.
An A?
Give it an A.
Whoa. Okay.
It was like over the top.
Yeah.
But it was good over the top. I don't know.
Okay. A.
That might change.
What's the highest grade you've given before other than that?
I don't know. Probably like because Tokyo Drift was kind of like a B+.
You did give that a B+.
Yeah.
You were really generous with that one.
It was colorful and nice.
It's still good.
I loved it.
I have a feeling that we're gonna have to do a whole episode on the full franchise retrospective.
Yes.
I'm thinking, but anyways,
I think that's a wrap.
Yeah. I'm gonna say just a solid A.
Mm-hmm.
Just a solid A. I wanted to do A minus, but we'll just do a solid A.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right.
Thank you for listening to us ramble and laugh really hard.
This is the first episode we did in the kitchen. I
Yep.
like it.
Yep.
All right.
Have a good night. Have
Yes.
a good morning. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.